Hey, large group teachers, consider this your training for our summer curriculum. We have shifted gears and we are no longer using our video-based teaching in our elementary class, and instead you are the teacher. The awesome thing is I know that you are all fully equipped and capable and able to do this in a really great way. It's been really fun to watch how our kids are already starting to adjust to the new format and they're connecting with it, and the feedback from the small group leaders has been really great. So I'm excited for you to participate in this. I just wanted to go over some details about how the curriculum works and then walk through your lesson guide so you can know what to expect. This summer, we have based our theme around our kids' favorite worship song, Same God. And so we are looking at how the same God that we read about in the Bible is the same God that we get to know and encounter and have a relationship with today. All of our lessons are divided up into 5 core pieces. And that is that we have a simple truth that is easy to remember, a belief about who God is, a faith connection to their world today, an identity statement they can hold on to, and a memory verse. The simple truth is just something that's easy to remember. It's a summary point of what the lesson or the Bible story is about and how it relates to that attribute of God that we are looking at. The belief is an anchor point for who God is. If we think about our kids' faith as a web, so it's something that is being woven into and built into as they grow up. The anchor points, what the web is anchored to, are truths about God. And so that way it can be who God is, and then how they understand that and how they practice that are the strands that go between it. And so we are giving them an anchor point each week to a truth about who God is. And that is our belief point. And then the faith connection is the application to their world today. And then the identity statement is something they can all hold on to as a truth about themselves in light of who God is. And then obviously our memory verses. We have done away with doing the question of the day in the large group format. The whole point of doing that was to help the kids actually connect with each other and to know each other and be known by each other in class. But what it's kind of evolved into is they find the person they are most familiar with and they just join that person each week. I'm watching it where weekly somebody gets rejected by somebody. And so it's just not serving that purpose that we had hoped for. But the kids still do really love answering the questions and being able to share their answers with each other. So that has been moved to the small group time. So that way the small group leaders can help make sure that their whole group actually knows each other's names and gets connected with these little insights into who their friends are. So when the kids come in, they will still do activity stations like they're used to with Mario Kart, Legos, dry erase markers, that sort of thing. And then you will signal when it is time to clean up. It is essential that we follow the schedule. We're doing a rotational model for small group time, which means the kids will be rotating between the small group leaders, and we want to make sure that every kid gets to visit every station. Otherwise, they're going to notice and not be happy about it. So that's why we really need to follow the schedule. So you will cue the cleanup time, and once that is done, you will send them to their small group. For the summer, the groups will be 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and 4th and 5th. And those are the new 8 grades that they have promoted to. In their small group time, they will do the question of the day, and then they will be reading the Bible story together in an age-appropriate format. So for our 1st graders, they'll be reading these storybooks that I've been making of the Bible stories. 2nd and 3rd grade will be reading it from the Action Bible. And 4th and 5th grade will be looking at the pictures in the Action Bible while the small group leader reads it from either the New Living Translation or the New International Reader's Version. So they will be covering all the details of the Bible story in their small group. And then you will signal them to come back to the large group space with our worship song. And so that'll be the more upbeat one that calls them in. I'll lead the motions for it. That'll be followed by a slower worship song. And then after that, you, the large group teacher, are on with the Bible story. You will see in your guide that the blue highlighted point is telling you the point of that, or the purpose of that time. So like for large group, When you were telling the Bible story, the purpose is to represent the belief portion of our lesson. So you are setting an anchor point to that attribute of God as seen through that Bible story. So you're not needing to worry about getting caught up in all the other details of the Bible story. You're focusing in on that main idea. Like, how do we see Jesus as Savior in this Bible story? Or how do we see God as provider in this Bible story? And so that's where you don't need to worry about all the other things, because that is the main idea of what you're doing with large group. And we use creative tools for each of these lessons, so that way the kids aren't just sitting and listening the entire time. And you'll see there's an explanation of what the creative tool for that day is. It's kind of like object lessons, skits, that sort of thing. And then you have your script. You don't need to follow your script exactly. I would actually recommend you get really familiar with it so you can use a lot of your own words when you are telling the story to the kids. The script is there to provide the context and how we want to get the message across, like what we want the message to be. But the more comfortable you are with it and the more it feels just natural as opposed to being read to the kids, the better off it'll be. You're going to go through those main points of the lesson. Also, please note, this is really only supposed to be 6 minutes that you're telling the Bible story. So we're keeping it quick and we're keeping it moving. And it's okay because the kids already just heard that Bible story. The repetition is what's really good for their memory. That moves into the wonder time. The point of the wonder time is to help them engage in curiosity, whether it's just learning to ask questions like, what was this part of the story about? What does this mean about God? Do I understand this correctly? What would it have been like to experience being there in that story? Sometimes it might feel more natural to incorporate those wonder questions into the Bible story time. And if you're finding that that's more natural, go for it. Like, you have the total of the wonder time and the teaching time together. I taught the large group lesson last week and I found myself naturally asking wondering questions throughout the story. However, with other stories, like if we were having the kids act it out, it would be really awkward to pause and ask wondering questions during that portion. And so wonder would naturally fit afterwards. If you don't feel comfortable trying to incorporate yourself, just go ahead and keep following the lesson as it's outlined. The key with wondering is that we are asking open-ended questions and we are not like making it so there's a right or a wrong answer. The whole point of this time is to get them wondering, not to get them knowing, because the wondering is what helps develop their faith. Wonder is followed by an introduction of the memory verse. You don't need to use this time to get them to actually memorize the verse because they're going to be working on that in small group time. This time is just saying the words to the memory verse and explaining how that memory verse represents our belief point for the day. And so that's explained there. And then you just dismiss them to small groups. We are not doing journals or prayer requests during large group time anymore because that is now happening in the small group rotations. And then once they are in the rotations, we're going to give it a try where we actually divide up ages and kids. And so instead of it just being their age specific small group that they go to the rotations with, you can actually try to divide it up based on personality ages to have a really diverse small group for each group. And then maybe they'll actually be evenly split too. We're going to give that a try and we'll see if that works. Otherwise, we'll go back to the age-specific groups. Then during small group time, your job is to signal when it's time to rotate. So at the 8-minute mark would be when you say, all right, get ready to rotate because we're going to need to move in just a minute. And then you have them rotate at 9 minutes. That way they have a whole minute to get into their new space. So thank you so much for what you do. I love what an amazing team we have and the hearts that you have for our kids. I'm really excited to see where this takes us and to watch these kids' faith develop. It's awesome to be able to partner with you in this way.